Fine. Phytoplanktons. The phytoplanktons, they grow and they accommodate the water body in case of hydraulic succession. So we can call these pioneering species, pioneering community or species, pioneering community. So this is made in case the first diagram. Then slowly what happens, the submerged plants, they grow. So it is shown like this. Various plants are shown like this, which are submerged. So the plants are shown like this, they start growing after that. So these are submerged plant state. This is the second state I'm making on this only, or if you want I can make it again in the next diagram. This is the pioneering species. So this is A. We come to the B. In the B, it's shown like this. Again, the water body, but this time along with phytoplanktons, we find some submerged plants. These are submerged plants which are seen in the water body. So these are submerged plant stage. The name given is submerged plant stage. So this is B, second stage. And the common plants which grow here is Vallisneria. We have read this name in when we were doing sexual reproduction. Then Hydrilla. This is another aquatic plant. Then Utricularia. These submerged plants, they grow in the second stage. Then the third stage, which is along with the submerged, free floating plants are also seen. So submerged free floating plant in the next stage. So this is again the water body, and in the water body, what do we see along with these phytoplanktons and these submerged plants? We find this is water body. So along with this, we find in the sea stage the free floating plants also. So like this, these are, so we call it submerged free floating plants. Submerged free floating plants, and the plants which accommodate this stage is Pistia, Pistia, and Trapa, Trapa. These are the names of the plants which accommodate. This is here. These are also the names which accommodate the water body at the sea stage, at the submerged free floating plant stage. Submerged free floating plant stage. This is the C stage which is seen. So this is pioneering community. These two come in cereal community. So we call it SERAL, cereal community. I told you in between the pioneering and the climax community, we have cereal community. So this is cereal community. These are the three stages which I have shown, A, B, and C. The three stages, A, B, and C. Just a minute. I think the board is not clearly visible to you. So these are the three stages which I have shown, A, B, C. So this is pioneering. The first one, A, is the pioneering community, which are phytoplanktons. B has the submerged plant stage, and the submerged plants are Vallisneria, Hydrilla, Utricularia. This is the B stage, submerged plant stage. The third stage is submerged free floating plant stage, and the plants, the names of the plants which are there, which start growing, are Pistia and Trapa. See, the number of plants are increasing at every step. That means from the water, when many plants will grow, it will also become like land. So see, again, it is proceeding towards mesic succession, mesic conditions. So now I'll erase this and I'll make another diagrams for you so that you understand it. So after this cereal community, we have three more cereal community. So next in the D stage, what do we have is, this is the water body, this is the water body, and in the water body we have more of the plants. That means the more of the plants grow, bigger plants they grow, and this is known as reed swamp stage. Reed swamp stage. And this reed swamp stage is accommodated by the plant Sagittaria. The name of the plants which grow here is Sagittaria and Polygonum. So these are the plants which accommodate this plant body. So number of plants, they are increasing. This is the reed swamp stage. This is again cereal community. After that, we come to the next, which is E. And in the E stage, what do we find? In the E stage, again, this is the water body. And the number of plants, I'll make it a little lower because I have to show you that the plants, they are coming out also now. At this stage, the plant have started coming out of the water. So it will, I'll have to make it a little lower. So if you see, this is again filled with water. Now what happens? Again, and then if you see the plants, they are exposed to the atmosphere also now here. Here, till here, the plants were not exposed to the atmosphere. They were inside. They were submerged in water. Now, if you see here, they come out into the air also. They are exposed. The major part of the plant body is exposed. They are in the air, see, because water is still here. Now they are exposed out. This state is known as marsh meadow state. Marsh meadow stage. When the plants, they appear outside, they come into the atmosphere. Now here, small trees grow like junius sedge. Okay, so these are very shrubs like or small tree like structures. So they grow here, they are seen. Then comes the next scrub stage, which is F. So F stage is shrub stage or scrub stage. And here what happens? If you see, the water body is almost, it diminishes. And what we find is just little low-lying area like this, because when these plants die, they will form sediment. So slowly, what will happen that the water body, the depth of the water body will diminish. So we don't find any very deep water body now. It is not filled with water now, more or less it is muddy sticky substance which fills it. And it has a number of trees now. Of course, the small vegetation is also there. Small vegetation is also there, and along with this small vegetation, there are trees also which grow. Okay, so this is scrub stage. And this stage has some trees like salix, Salix, populus. These trees, they grow at this stage, salix and populus. And finally, we get, what? The climax community. All these are cereal communities. These are also cereal communities, Seral, cereal communities, because these are in between. Now the G1 which is made, it is climax community. Now in G, if you see what has been shown, a forest has been shown. In the G community, a forest has been shown, and the type of trees which grow in the forest. Type of trees which grow in this forest, it depends on the rainfall and other climatic conditions. Depends on rainfall of that area and other climatic conditions. So this is climax community. Forest, it is the climax community. So this forms climax community. So ultimately, what did you see? Before it was water. The succession started in water and finally where did it reach? Land. Here it reached land. See, the climax community is land again. So as I told you in the starting that every succession, it starts wherever it is, whether it is xeric or it is hydrarch, they all proceed towards the mesic conditions. So now this is again mesic. So from mesic, mesic, and from where it has come to mesic? It was first hydrarch. Hydrarch. From the hydrarch succession, what it got converted into mesic succession. And in xeric succession also you saw, from xeric it proceeded towards a mesic. Here also from hydrarch it proceeded towards a mesic. So all the succession, they proceed towards the mesic conditions or land condition. Any problem in this? Any question you want to ask or any difficulty if you have in this, just you can let me know. Yes beta, any difficulty, any problem in this? Yes bache. Okay, Sukh Sahaj says it's clear. Paras, it's clear. Okay. Yeah. So I mean the statement which I gave, that all the successions, they proceed towards the mesic condition. Is it clear? If you are asked that justify the statement that all the successions proceed towards the mesic condition, will you be able to write something on it? Yes. If you are given a question, justify the statement that all the succession, they proceed towards the mesic conditions, will you be able to write something on it? Ma'am, the water is going underground or evaporating. But it is being used up. Why will it go? See, the plants are dying. The plants are dying. Some of it will, see, it's not that whole of the water will get evaporated. It's not that. Plants are also there in that area. Okay, you know, the plants slowly, every type of plant is growing there. Every type of organisms, aquatic organisms are growing. So they will also utilize the water. Some water escapes as a result of evaporation, but a major part of water is also used by the plants, whether they are dead or living. Even when the plants die, they absorb some water gets converted in some water is used up by the decomposers to decompose the dead bodies of these aquatic organisms. Some is used by the water for the process of photosynthesis. Some gets evaporated. Some is used by the aquatic organisms which are surviving there in that small pond. Okay, so the water is used everywhere. Fine. Okay, slowly it will get diminished and finally whole of the water is used up. Yes beta, I think the last one is not clear to you. I'll just yes. So bache, any query, any other question? Any other question regarding this? Yes, beta. It was a nice question that where does the water go? Yes, any other question? Okay, it's clear. So this is a very important, you know, when I gave you this statement, just a minute. When I gave you the statement that all the succession progress towards mesic conditions, this is very important. I'll write this statement here. Is it clear? This sentence you will be able to justify now. Will you be able to justify? Will you be able to write few lines on this? Okay, so you will have to give example of both the Xeroc as well as Hydrac, because there are three conditions. Either the succession will be Xeroc or Mesac or Hydrac. So as I told you that all the succession, they proceed toward Mesic conditions. So we will have to talk about Xeroc succession and Hydrac succession. So how the Xeroc condition finally get converted into Mesic conditions, and how the other one, the Hydrac succession, it gets converted into Mesic condition. This is what you are going to do. Now, I move on to the next topic. Here it finishes with the succession part. And after the succession part, I start with the next topic, which is nutrient cycle. So here I start. This is very important. Just try to write down the answer. Justify the statement. I'm just writing it for you. Justify the statement. Very important. Now, we come to the next topic. It is nutrient cycle. What else do we call the nutrient cycle? Nutrient cycle is also called by another name. What else do we call the nutrient cycle? Yes. Anybody who can say what else do we call the nutrient cycle? Yes. Nutrient cycle is also known as biogeochemical cycle. This is also known as nutrient cycle, is also known as biogeochemical cycle. Now, why these nutrients are required by the organisms? Organisms, whether plants, animals, or other organisms, require nutrients for growth, reproduction, and one more thing for which they require is metabolism, or all the biochemical reaction which takes place in the body. For that also it is required. So it is required for growth, it is required for reproduction, it is required for metabolism. Now, what are those nutrients which are required by the plant? So if I want to tell you the name, the nutrients which are required, it can be carbon, it can be nitrogen, it can be oxygen, it can be calcium, it can be sulfur, it can be phosphorus. So various nutrients are there which are required by the by the organisms for their growth. Now, see, the two sources from where the nutrients are obtained. So from where they are obtained, these nutrients are obtained either from atmosphere, or these can be obtained from the soil. So either these nutrients are obtained from the atmosphere, or these nutrients are obtained from the soil. On the basis of the source, these are divided into the two types. The nutrients on the basis of source, from where they are obtained, these are of two types: the gaseous nutrients and the second type is sedimentary nutrients. If the nutrients are derived from atmosphere, we call them gaseous. If derived from soil, we call them sedimentary. Example of this: carbon, nitrogen, oxygen. Example of this, calcium. Okay. Then we have phosphorus, etc. So whether they are obtained from there or from the soil, on the basis of this, we have two types of nutrients, gaseous or sedimentary. Now, one more thing, whether most of the nutrient is in the usable form or it is in the stored form. So we can have the nutrients in usable form, the organisms which the organisms can use, or the nutrients can be present in stored form. If more of the nutrient is in usable form, okay, more in usable form and less is blocked by storing, then such a cycle is called as perfect cycle. When most of the nutrient is in usable, it can be used by the organism, and very less is blocked by storing, such a cycle we call as perfect cycle. And all the gaseous nutrients, example of these are all the gaseous nutrients. Then another type of cycle is imperfect, when more of the nutrient is blocked by storage. And where the storage takes place, it can be stored in the form of rocks, or it can be stored in the form of shells, or many other. These are the two examples I'm giving you. See, the shells have nutrients, the rocks have nutrients. If the more of the nutrient is blocked by storage, that is in the rocks or the shells, and less is available and less amount is available for the organisms to be used, then such a cycle is known as imperfect cycle. And all the nutrients which are present in this, which are sedimentary nutrients, these are of this type. The sedimentary nutrients are of this type. So we have the gaseous nutrients, we have the sedimentary nutrients, and out of that there is perfect cycle, the imperfect cycle. If they are in usable form, we call most of it, then we call it this cycle a perfect cycle. If most of it is in blocked form, in the form of rocks or in the form of shells or other, then we call it an imperfect cycle. Any question in this? Any query in this? Yes, beta. Any query? Any question in this? Yes, bache. Okay. Fine. So this was the general introduction of the nutrient cycle, that what do we have in nutrient cycle, and how the cycle goes on in the atmosphere. This was a general introduction of this. We have 3-4 cycles in our syllabus: the carbon cycle, then we have the nitrogen cycle, the carbon cycle, the nitrogen cycle. Of course, we have phosphorus cycle also, nitrogen, carbon, phosphorus cycle, and which I'm not going to start today, tomorrow, because if I started, the time is less and will be left in between. So I'll start with the carbon cycle and the nitrogen cycle tomorrow, and later on. We have done nitrogen cycle, if you remember, in class 11 also, when we were doing mineral nutrition. In that chapter also we have done, so doesn't matter, I'll repeat it again. So tomorrow I'm going to start with the cycles. Today only this much introduction. So I think the time is almost over.